All right, everybody. I got Demetrius Spates with me today. He's going to go over. He's going to tell us just kind of his experience from joining our program and what it's done for him and kind of where he came from. So just kind of starting out. Thanks, Demetrius, for being here and doing this for us.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Just kind of starting out. Just tell everybody a little bit about yourself. Where you come from, what you were doing prior to doing this, and kind of what made you take the leap of faith and actually jump into this and go at it full speed.
Yeah, yeah, like Grant said, my name is Demetrius Spates. I live in Central Oregon. Before I got into the program, I was actually running a trucking and brokerage firm, and it's very stressful, and don't get a lot of free time. Always doing something, always moving. Not monotonous. I wasn't trucking myself, but I had a team of about 40 employees, and so. It was always, I was the answer guy. So I was always, on the phone, answering emails, text, something rather. And I kind of got to a point where my income was being capped. I didn't own the business and made an offer to buy it, and the shareholder said no. So it was time to kind of make the next move. But I wasn't really passionate about the logistics industry. I was just in it because it was it was a means to an end, and knew that I wanted to get into something a little more lucrative and that would allow me some more freedom, and ended up seeing the course and hopped on a call and loved it, loved everything that there was to offer, especially being able to create some residual income, which for me, I got a wife, 2 kids, and my wife and I would both have lofty goals of wanting to travel and really just live life on our terms, right? And the course, sounded like a great fit, which it ended up being. So got in the course like spring of 2019, and man, within a little less than 2 months, landed my first client, and actually that ended up being a pretty large client of mine. They wanted to go vertical in the niche that they're in, and so it's been pretty awesome. So I mean, it's kind of a unicorn sort of story, but cool nonetheless.
Definitely. So were you still working your other job when you started this, or had you already quit that and moved on and was looking for something to do full time?
No, I jumped in cannonball style. I've never really been one to kind of play both sides of the fence, and the fact that the shareholders from the trucking company had kind of given me their ultimatum per se, right? I mean, they basically told me they weren't going to sell me the business. So for me, it was kind of a easy decision to jump in. And I was in a decent position where I had, funds saved up and that sort of thing. So I could buy that time to just jump in and afford to get in and make some mistakes and get after it.
That's awesome. So you jumped into this and you were going to make it work one way or the other. It sounds like, you put that other job behind you, you jumped in full force. And, what would you say to anybody else that's thinking about that, or that may not have a job right now, or they want to get rid of a job and they want to do this, 100% of the time. I know we have a lot of students that, do this part-time until they chip away at their income and then they do it full time. But for somebody that wants to jump into this, is this feasible for anybody that's out there?
It's definitely feasible. I think the biggest roadblock that stops people from coming in and making money right away is their lack of commitment. Like with whatever it is, right? I mean, because the course itself, there's enough students besides just myself that have come in and have been able to either leave their job, do this full time, and really just kind of live the life that they want to live. But it really just comes down to coming in and taking action. I mean, we know that it's time tested, right? The business model isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Businesses always need leads. As long as there are businesses that provide services, there's going to be a need for leads. And so with that, I mean, really, as anybody, you have to just be disciplined, right? I think that's probably the biggest thing is those that lack discipline have a hard time seeing results, right? And I think that's, a huge tribute to my success, that, just having been an athlete. And so I understand like what it takes to be disciplined, right? Like to stick something out and see it through. I think that's probably the biggest factor.
I gotta agree with you on that. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. So looking at you, you've been doing this what? Probably almost 2 years, about a year and a half now, a little over.
Yeah, almost 2 years.
And that's pretty impressive, actually, to see where you're at. Wow. What was your best month you think so far up to this point, if you don't mind sharing that?
Well, actually, like leading right into COVID, I did like 40,000.
Nice.
It fell off. It fell off after that for a while. But we're getting back to it though. Goal is to surpass 50,000 in the next 6 months.
That's awesome. So you said before COVID, so that was what, you were not even a full year in, right?
Yeah.
You had hit $40,000 in a month.
Yeah.
That's impressive. And just so you guys know, Demetrius is in the group all the time. You'll constantly see him helping other students, and just posting his wins and kind of where he's at. This dude travels nonstop. Him and his family, they're on the go. He's living the life, just kind of with what he was saying. Him and his wife had these dreams to be able to do that. Well, every time I think I see anything from Demetrius out there, he's in some other country doing something. But you're able to take this with you and still grind and make money. I'm guessing all these vacations you're working while you're there, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. Like there's no better feeling than to be on vacation and then go land a deal, or you look at your bank account and you see it hit and it grows, right? Like versus most people, you take a vacation and you're like, oh man, this is coming out, right? Like it's going to be a smaller number than when you left. But with our business, like to leave and then close a deal, which I've even done on vacation, is amazing. And that's like I said, that was one of the things that was enticing to me about getting in this business, was the fact that you can make money from anywhere. Like there is really no barrier, regardless of industry, location, anything like that. Like I was on the phone with a prospect the other day that's in Alaska. I've never been to Alaska, but the principles of the business apply, wherever you are. And so it's really cool. And, you get to talk to some all different walks of life. I'll just say that.
That's definitely true. But yeah, it's impressive to see just the lifestyle that you're able to live and doing what you're doing. And like you said, not having to worry about when you go on vacation, like, that money's going to come out later. I gotta go out and make that again. So I just actually did it not even 2 weeks ago, I think. I picked the family on a vacation. We went camping, and just so happens there was a guy that does RV repair there. And so I had him, nothing was really wrong with my camper, but I had him come look at something for me so I could strike a conversation with him, and I left with a new client. He actually paid me before I left, wrote me a check to start up. So it's really cool to do that.
Well, and that's, that's another thing that I've also found, which, even when I was in the trucking industry, it would be hard for me to not be driving down the road and I see another truck with a load of, some heavy machinery or some large like irrigation pipes or what have you, and me not look over and like try and figure out like, who's the manufacturer, where is it coming from, where are they going, like that sort of thing, right? And start putting two and two together. And with this business, it's kind of the same aspect where there's so much opportunity everywhere you look that it's very rare that I even go out and don't see some opportunity to do some sort of prospecting.
So yeah, I remember thinking that exact same thing. I couldn't have been, but man, maybe 2 or 3 weeks in to the training, and just how it had changed my mindset so much to where, I was looking at everything, like you just said. I was paying attention to billboards, wrapped vehicles, whatever it may be, and starting trying to analyze it and try to figure out, how can I bring them value and make money at the same time. But it really did change my mindset and teach me that there's literally money everywhere. You just have to be willing to go get it. It's as simple as that. There is money everywhere. I tell people all the time that if I if I had a gun to my head right now and they told me I had to go out in my little podunk town where I live and go make $2,000 by the time it gets dark, I could easily go out there and go get a $2,000 check. I have no doubt that I could do that. And that just goes to show you that there's money everywhere. You just have to be willing to get it. And this is definitely, in my eyes, one of the greatest vehicles to be able to go out there and get it, because you're providing value to everybody.
Definitely.
What how long did it take you once you joined? Being that I just said that, talking about 2 or 3 weeks in, my mindset kind of changed a little bit. How long did it take you after you joined before you realized this is actually no shit legit, and that this Hannon will work for you?
Really, it was after landing that first deal. That did it, because then it wasn't just social proof. That was like hit home and like pulled on the heartstrings, like when you actually see that check hit your account, right? And you're like, man, okay, this is real. and then it's and then it's just trying to replicate, right? And not reinvent the wheel. Like, okay, well, it worked doing this. Okay, now let's just add more to it. And and that in itself, sometimes takes some focus and willpower, because there's the whole shiny object syndrome, right? Where you think like, oh, there's this new way to go and prospect, so I'm going to do that, and then it doesn't work, and you're like, oh, this shit doesn't work. Right?
Very guilty of that. Very guilty of that. I know exactly what you're saying. The shiny objects, it got me a lot when I first started. So anybody that does decide to join, follow the process. Don't get those shiny objects, because
definitely
get you. I can't tell you how many shiny objects I went chasing. Well, I was chasing. But it always comes back. It always circled back to what the program teaches, and don't deviate from it. It is a proven process that will work 100% of the time if you allow it to, and then you just duplicate it, just like you just said.
Yeah, and kind of hit back on the sports thing, where I played football, played Division I football, and decided not to make a career out of it. Got into business and wanted to run into business walls instead of running into 250-pound running backs. But with that, right, like even with that, to break it down to its purest essence, you get back to the fundamentals of sports, right? So for football, it's blocking, tackling, catching, all those sorts of things. And with this business, the fundamentals are laid out in front of you. And so really, if you just do what is instructed in the program, you're going to have success. You just had to see it through. And a lot of, that's the other thing is some stick-to-itiveness, right? You got to be willing to stay with it long enough to see the results. Because if you do the process, there's no way that you won't have success doing this thing.
100%. How has this changed your mindset since you started the program? Has it changed your mindset at all from kind of to now?
Yeah, tremendously. One huge example is how I think of creating wealth, right? Because perfect example is the show Undercover Billionaire that they just launched a new season with Grant Cardone and a couple others, and in it, right, there's 3 titans, right? The one guy, 2 girls, Grant Cardone and 2 of the ladies in there, and it was really interesting seeing how they operate. And the thing that really stuck out was like with Grant Cardone, how he was going to make his money, right? Where he saw everything as like, okay, well, how can I leverage my time, my skill set, right? Where these other 2 ladies both went and got jobs that were paying, maybe like $13 an hour, because they needed to make money right now to feed themselves, when the other guy, Grant, went and goes and goes and just introduced himself to basically like a prospect. And the prospect ended up having everything he wanted. He gave him a place to stay. He gave him like $100 credit for meals and all this stuff, right? And it's like, okay, well, man, it's really all about your perception and how you attack things. And it's the same thing for this business, right? Where there's literally opportunity everywhere, but it's about how you approach it.
Definitely. Well, that's good to hear. And I actually heard, it's been a while, but our mentor has talked about in the past, I'm sure you've probably heard it too, about, if they went dead broke today, as long as they had a computer, they could get dropped into any city out there and become wealthy again. Just because, you know, the mindset, and like you said, the way you look at wealth and building wealth and stuff like that, it does change you. I definitely agree with that.
It's a huge confidence builder.
It's that too, to know that you're never going to go hungry, and you have a skill set that's not going to allow that. But just kind of start wrapping things up. Real quick, hit on your goal setting. How's your goal setting changed since you joined the program?
I was thinking way small scale. So when I first got into the course, my initial goal was to have 10 sites built in the first year. I crushed that in a few months. And really just kind of goes to show, right, like with mindset and how small of thinking that a lot of us have, right? Because you know, we all come into this world with our own, you know, baggage as far as you know, money and you know, how we think about finances and all that sort of thing. But really, like when we got in and you know, you start knocking off some of these little goals and you see that it's real, like, man, well, what if I 100x this? And lo and behold, I actually did that. You know, and so that 10 websites became 100, and you know, next goal is, you know, to have 250 by the end of 2021. And so you know, think big, start big. You know, have some lofty goals in place because no one exceeds their greatest expectation, right? Like, so if you're going to set the bar low, that's all you're going to hit. And so start out with some lofty goals and then just reverse engineer it.
That's awesome advice. Real quick, I know you said your goal was the 10 lead gens in the first year. You don't have to give me an exact number. How many lead gens would you say you have now?
Over 100.
So over 100 lead gens. So to put this in perspective, guys, he has over 100 lead gens. And like I said, I think you've probably seen somewhere in here, the average is about $750 a site. We'll just say at $500, and we'll say he only has half of those rented. So we say he has 50 of the sites rented at $500. You know, what is that going to do for you? That's 25 grand, you know, passive income coming in every single month. And that's on the low end. So just to give you an idea on, you know, what this can and will do for if you put your head down and grind and you hit these big goals that Demetrius is talking about, there's just no way to fail. No way to fail. But to wrap it up, D, for anybody that's watching your testimonial, your video right now, that's on the fence about either possibly scheduling a phone call, or if they've already got on the phone call and they're just debating on pulling the trigger, what advice would you give them?
Well, if you are looking to change your life and wanting to make a transition where you're not having to trade your time for money and have you know, the income potential that's unlimited, I mean, there's really no cap on the amount of money that you can make in this thing. I mean, you would be doing yourself a disservice if you don't give it a shot.
Perfect. Awesome advice, Demetrius. We really appreciate you sharing kind of your background and what this has done for you and how you're utilizing it. And hopefully anybody that's watching this that decides to pull the trigger, they'll see you on the other side and hopefully pick your brain at some point.
Definitely. One team, one dream.
All right, buddy.
With you, Grant.
Take it easy, bud.
All right.